Westbrook Health Services has been supporting the surrounding community since 1949 and is known as an agency that is community-focused, people-driven. As one of West Virginia's 13 comprehensive behavioral health centers, Westbrook provides services to 8 counties throughout the Mountaineer State and became one of the first comprehensive community behavioral health clinics in West Virginia in 2020. This podcast wouldn't be possible without the generous help of the Sisters Health Foundation. This year marks 25 years since the foundation awarded its first grant, and we couldn't be more grateful for their support. Welcome to Studio 2121.
Hello, and welcome back to Studio 2121, the next installment of Spill the Tea with
Liz.
And me.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I'm Liz.
I'm me.
Don't get confused.
You're not
Jolie.
me.
Jolie.
I'm me, you're Liz.
So last time we met,
Yes,
we made commitments.
we did. And how are we doing on those? Oops.
I'm going to give us a solid 12%.
Wait a minute, because we made two. You made a commitment to me and I made a commitment to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the commitment I made to you was that I was going to meditate for 5 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
Twice. I did it twice.
And I was going to follow up each day to ask you if you did it for accountability.
Correct.
I've done it once.
You followed up once?
Maybe twice.
Okay, I meditated twice for 5 minutes. I have to recommend meditation is really good. I did have 2 very calm days, and then I promptly forgot.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I asked you to make a commitment to me. Do you remember what that was?
That could have been a little walkie-talkie.
A little walking, a lot of walking like we used to do. And how are we doing on that? Grade us on that one.
We're killing it.
We are killing it.
And
what does that mean exactly, killing it?
We have a goal.
We have a goal.
Our goal is to do the Parkersburg Half Marathon. Finish the
Parkersburg Half Marathon.
I've done it before, and I had clients ask, "Did you win?"
Uh-huh.
You did. If you cross it, you win it.
You won it.
Yeah. So our goal is to finish.
That's it.
And
we'll be mostly walking. We'll be running about.
Not because we love it, but just because we want to cross the finish line before the parade starts.
Correct, which is 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll run, maybe a quarter mile out of every mile?
Yeah.
But mostly we'll be walking, and so far we're
killing it.
We're killing it.
Yeah,
we're ahead of schedule.
We are ahead of schedule. We weren't supposed to walk this week, but plans changed, and we are. And we were supposed to do no miles this week.
You mean the long miles?
The long miles, correct.
We do the long miles on the weekend.
And we do shorter 3, 4, 5 miles during the week.
Several times a week.
4 or 5 times a week. But we were supposed to do no miles on Saturday. We're doing 10. And then next week we were supposed to do 9. So we are
ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And last week we did 8.
We did.
And how'd it go?
I am sore if I sit still, if I do nothing or I exercise. I'm sore if I sit still. I was sore, but otherwise I was fine.
It was good.
And we started running this week.
Yes, we did.
And I felt that.
Yes.
Yeah. Not in my knee either. It was the thighs that hurt.
Yeah. Mine was my lungs. I told you I've been having a little asthma, so dealing with that. And it's allergy related. Rain doesn't help. So we'll see how that goes.
She sounds like a musical instrument when we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time she...
The wheezing.
Yeah, the wheezing.
So we're 50-50 on goals.
Yeah.
One, we knocked it out of the park, and one... Not so much. But anyway, here we are.
So I put together, I'm a big fan of pop culture, and Jolie is not.
I'm not a fan of pop culture. I just haven't committed all of the details to memory like you have.
And your brain tends to go a little bit more intellectual, and mine goes a little bit more pop culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
I enjoy all the pop culture. I just can't quote the movies that I saw 30 years ago, like you can.
So I put together a list of people that have influenced our lives. I'm hoping you're going to be 100% they've influenced you. There might be a few names where it was too pop culture and you don't remember that.
Okay.
But, all of them have mental illness. And
did they tell us that at the time?
Some have been dead before we were alive.
Okay.
So, but with historians, with reports, with interviews they've done, I've gone through, I found some interesting little tidbits on people, but I was really surprised at some of the people on the list.
Okay.
So, anyway, we're gonna go through and this is gonna be a 2-part. Because
is it like a quiz? Am I being tested?
I'm hoping you're gonna know the names.
Okay.
But I am gonna have you explain. I have three mental illness, and I'm going to actually have us maybe change that wording before this is all said and done. But I have 3 pulled aside, so I'm going to have you explain it since you have initials after your name.
Okay.
The first one is bipolar. Can you tell the people what typical bipolar would look like?
I'm just going to break it down for layman's terms, kind of. So
Yeah.
bipolar disorder is a mood disorder. There are a few different types of bipolar disorder. I won't get into all of the details of that, but it ranges from kind of more extreme versus less extreme. And it's typically what you see is a series of highs and lows. And in bipolar 2, that is more pronounced. But in, wait, I might be having that backwards. Yes. In bipolar 1, that is more pronounced. But in bipolar 2, the highs could be more just like agitation.
Okay.
And the depression may be not like horribly, majorly depressed, but more of a, well, I totally forgot the word. Like a dysthymia, which is kind of just like a blunted mood. So
Lack of energy?
yeah.
Okay.
That along with some of the other depressive symptoms that you see.
And when I hear highs, I imagine maybe a lack of sleep.
Correct.
Maybe higher creativity.
Yeah,
faster
those
thinking.
those are typically the things that you do see with the true bipolar 1, the real very much extremes. People report not needing as much sleep.
What
and
about dangerous behaviors?
yeah, there is a lot of risk taking that can be involved. A lot of very risky behavior.
Can you throw out a couple?
People report higher intensity with things like gambling, with risky sex, just driving fast, anything that might be considered risky. Sometimes you see an increase in those.
Okay.
Now, it's not going to be for everyone,
right,
obviously, but yes. And I think that part of the struggle with bipolar disorder is, and we've talked about this before with depression, it feels really bad. And so if someone is having cycles where they're depressed and then they start to have a more manic cycle where they're, feeling good, maybe better than average, they're not wanting to medicate that.
Right.
So that's
super
the struggle.
Productive, super creative,
Exactly.
all the energy. I feel better when I wake up at 6:30 in the morning and I want to go.
Right.
Versus I wake up at 6:30 and I want to lay around for 2 hours before I get out of bed. So I would prefer that energy.
So that's where
I don't go risky.
But that's where you find sometimes people struggling with staying on medication. But anyway, those are just like snapshots. That's not everyone. There's a whole. It's along a spectrum, and
but you get your highs, you get your lows. Okay. So,
but they might be more, like I said, the highs could be just a little bit of agitation, major anxiety, things like that.
So the people that I found, some I'm hoping I'm gonna say out some names. Kurt Cobain.
Yes.
You know him?
Well, I didn't know him personally. He was in.
How about you raise your hand if you know any of them personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, not personally.
Okay.
Musician, yes.
Okay.
Courtney
musician.
Love, his girlfriend.
And she's on a different list, but she is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain. He was in a what was
Nirvana?
Yes, thank you.
Nirvana? I think
Yes, it was.
Nirvana.
I was going to say the Sex Pistols, and that was completely wrong. So I'm glad I didn't say that.
But what I noticed with a lot of these people, and when I looked at it, a lot of them came with substance use.
Yeah.
To help even out some
Right.
things.
It's a lot of times you see that.
Down,
The
drugs
self-medication.
Beethoven.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Bipolar. Yep.
That's very interesting. I don't know a lot about Beethoven. He was a creative genius.
For the record, it's the musician from the 1800s,
not the dog,
not the Peanuts character.
Oh,
or the dog.
Or the dog. Yeah. The Saint Bernard.
Ted Turner.
Okay, so you happened to mention Ted Turner to me, and then I had him confused with the news anchor on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, but that is not who you're talking about.
Ted.
His name was Ted too, right?
Yeah.
Or was it Ed?
No, it was Ted, but Ed Asner was the boss of that.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Okay.
I loved
No,
it.
Ted Turner, news mogul.
Right.
Yes, media mogul.
He did TBS, TNT, and CNN. All those.
Oh,
Yeah, out of Atlanta.
Is he still alive?
He is still alive, but he was diagnosed a couple of years ago with Lewy body disease,
Oh.
which there's a similarity to Parkinson's.
Is that the one that
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams?
Yeah. So I didn't put Robin Williams' name on any of the lists, but he was known for being so funny but so hurt inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that from the Lewy bodies, or did he also have a mental health diagnosis?
I think he had a mental health diagnosis and substance use.
Right.
Right. So.
Very sad.
Bipolar. Churchill.
Yes. Tell me about Churchill.
Okay. Let me cross these names off because I don't want to repeat them.
Don't repeat them.
I thought this was neat. Churchill often referred to his periods of intense and prolonged depression as his black dog.
Do you know that I literally just read that?
Really?
Yes, I literally just read that in a completely different article that I was looking at. And apparently he was not the first one that coined that term.
Okay.
But he popularized it. I'd never heard that. Had you ever heard that?
No. I made a few notes here because I just for him to do what he did for World War I and World War II. And have that was amazing. So it said in 1911, Churchill pushed through periods of depression and began to prepare Great Britain for war. He established the Royal Navy Air Service for noting Germany's growing bellicose nature?
Bellicose.
Okay, bellicose nature. Anticipating an imminent conflict, World War I, Churchill's depression is believed to have increased his realism and empathy, helping him assess the true dangers that were otherwise overlooked by his colleagues.
Interesting.
Similarly, during World War II, Churchill's heightened skepticism allowed him to realistically evaluate the ever-growing German threat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And in World War II, Churchill kept his black dog on a leash and kept British spirits high.
Wow.
I know. I thought that was, you don't always get a lot of details.
No, I'm curious about that whole black dog. So I'm going to go back and look at that and see if where other people used it.
Yeah.
I had never heard that.
Patty Duke.
Patty Duke. Patty Duke, movies in the 50s,
Yeah.
right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Academy Award winner for
Helen Keller.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Isaac Newton.
Gravity?
Gravity. We wouldn't have Gravity
Right.
without him.
Well, we would have it. We just wouldn't
No,
know
we
what
would
it
not.
was.
We would not.
Well, he didn't create it.
He invented it.
He named it.
Hashtag truth. Axl Rose.
Now, I know him from Guns N' Roses.
Mm-hmm.
What about him?
Bipolar.
Wow.
Yeah, but this is a side tidbit. When the carnival comes to town,
Yes.
we typically hear Guns N' Roses playing.
Really?
We live across the street from the park. And so we hear the carnival play Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose, Take Me Down to Paradise City, but they are currently playing At Last by Etta James.
Why would they do that?
The people want what the people want. How about Vincent van Gogh?
Okay. I think it's somewhat widely known that Vincent van Gogh suffered from mental illness,
Mhm.
right? I don't think I knew it was bipolar disorder, though.
His paintings are so involved.
They're very...
So involved. You know that takes a high level of creativity.
Well, there's a similarity in all of these names. There's got to be some creative genius or some genius, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Didn't know it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and my favorite, James Taylor.
I'm surprised by that. I am cheating by looking
Stop looking.
on your paper,
Stop
and
look-
I see that it says Fire and Rain,
Yeah.
which I love that song.
Yeah.
I thought, is that song about someone he met in a psychiatric institution?
So I was under the impression that he wrote that when he was in a psychiatric institution. That's the story that I was looking for.
It's about a friend or something.
But
Maybe not.
The phrase Suzanne, the plans they made put an end to you
Mhm.
is Suzanne Schnurr, a childhood friend of his who died by suicide while he was in London, recording his first album. But stop looking. Friends at home, concerned that it might distract Taylor from his big break, kept the tragic news from him, and he found out 6 months later.
Oh my goodness.
And then he himself had struggles with drug addiction and depression. So, I don't know. But that Fire and Rain is one of my favorite songs.
It's an incredible
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Can you sing it?
I can, but I choose not to.
Thank you.
Yes.
I mean, not thank you. I choose not to as well because I struggle to sing on key, but I could probably quote the words to you.
Let me ask you this.
Don't test me on that.
No,
Yes.
I believe you.
Okay.
How much of an effect, and I realize that I'm asking kind of generic questions, but how much of an effect does bipolar have on day-to-day life?
Well, I mean, it's probably different for every person, right? I mean, there's some people that do really well, and it probably depends on the intensity of the illness,
Okay.
whether or not it's treated, the coping skills, the support structure for the individual. But I mean, all of the people that you're talking about really not only functioned well, but majorly contributed to society, right?
I completely agree. But how much they had to overcome.
Right, to be able to do that. Yeah, because that's not the norm.
No.
No, but it is important to note that there is recovery. There is, I mean, people do live every day with mental health issues and mental illness.
Yes.
And yes. Those are amazing people that you named.
Okay. Schizophrenia.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about schizophrenia.
So schizophrenia, again, it's not just one illness. It's a series of illnesses and different levels. But it's typically like, I think the best way to put it in layman's terms probably is there's difficulty with thinking, feeling, and acting. So all of those things together, or parts of those things, can be distorted. So it could be that individuals have hallucinations or delusions. Hallucinations meaning they may hear or see things that other people don't hear or see. Also, they could smell or taste things.
Smell. Okay.
Yeah. Or delusions, thoughts that just, you could say grandiose, but like thoughts that are not exactly realistic. Like maybe some of the major, like extreme ones are that God is talking to them, but not in the way that a lot of people feel God is talking to them, but like, or that God is talking to them through the TV, or
the government.
The government is eavesdropping on them, which, you know, there are certain things that there could be truth to, but this is above and beyond, like kind of a little hypervigilant, well, kind of a lot hypervigilant, or...
That reminds me of the movie that came out with Jolie Roberts.
Which one?
That she was the wife of, during Watergate.
I'm not sure I saw that movie.
Gaslit.
Oh,
Gaslit.
I didn't see that movie.
So she was saying that they're after me, and they put her in the hospital because she had these grandiose. Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
but it was in fact happening. But so I'm glad you preface it with, it could happen. But
I mean, there are things that are realistic, but I mean, you know, like A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, and he's on my list. Yeah, but I thought that was one of the best examples of, because you were in his hallucination.
Right.
You like those people. You heard those people.
Right.
You interacted with
Right.
them.
And those are extreme examples, but there's also, those are typically the positive symptoms. That's something that's not normally there. There's also the negative side, which could be like no emotion, a very flat affect, no ability to think clearly, those kinds of things, memory
I can
issues.
tell that you are psych-based, because when you say positive,
Mhm.
you mean things that are there, and negative means they're not.
Correct.
Yeah, versus good and bad. But I will say that when I hear schizophrenia, hallucinations, or delusions, I think automatically bad, but that's not necessarily the case.
They may not be scary to the individual. They might be, but it's 100% real to them. I mean,
And
they're 100% experiencing it.
Yes, and I've also heard that a client is doing well. They are having hallucinations, but they're okay. They're okay with them.
They can learn to
and
manage.
so they don't change medications because they're okay.
Right.
I thought that was an really fascinating insight on that. So thank you for that. Stop peeking. Now I have to hold it. First one.
Yes.
That may change your thinking.
Okay.
Daryl Hammond. Okay. That's not going to change your thinking. Daryl Hammond, do you know who he is?
Daryl Hammond. I feel like you just told me this, and I know.
So he was on Saturday Night Live for a long time.
Okay.
His most famous one, he did the impersonation of Bill Clinton. He was really well known for that. But he was also in Sharknado 5.
Well, that was probably what
That's,
gave him all of his fame.
He had
There were 5 Sharknados.
maybe 6. I think
That's a little bit disturbing.
No, everyone was quality. I mean, every single one was
Okay.
quality.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm missing out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we would try to watch it at the beach. Life-changing. But
Okay.
I think it was called Sharknado. This really is the last one.
Mm-hmm. Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was on Law and Order, but what does that say?
I don't
Because
know. I can't picture him in my mind.
Everybody is on Law and Order. Pick your initials, SVU or CSI or whatever. But he, in order to get it under control for him, he had substance use.
And you do see that a lot,
Mhm.
people self-medicating to try and manage the symptoms.
And self-harm.
Oh.
And so he had to leave the set of Saturday Night Live and go to the hospital for self-harm. He was cutting himself. But
You know, a little known fact, well, it's known to us, but self-harm is not always with the intent of actually suicide.
Mhm.
Sometimes self-harm is a coping skill that people use that's maladaptive, but I don't know what it was for him, because
Right.
I
you
didn't
you didn't raise your hand because you don't know him.
No, oh, I forgot to raise my hand.
Yeah.
There were some others
But
on
you
the
don't
other.
know him.
There were some on the other page that I did know.
You knew, but you don't know personally.
No, I don't. Oh, you're correct.
Yeah, just
no, I
raise your
don't.
hand.
I don't know any of them.
Okay, so here is a statement. They did a documentary about him, and the author, the producer, whatever, said that Daryl Hammond said this. His doctor told him not to call what he had mental illness, rather than mental injury.
Interesting.
I felt this huge wave of compassion run through my body and go out to everybody. He had trauma growing up, which I'm sure a lot of people do have trauma, and that's injury.
That is injury, but it's interesting. I want to make sure trauma does not cause
No.
schizophrenia, but if someone has a predisposition to schizophrenia, a traumatic event could cause it to happen,
Yeah.
like to come out.
And I'm sure that mental injury also influenced the substance use.
I appreciate you saying that, and I think that this might be a topic for another episode, but I think a lot of people are fearful of mental illness, and you see things going on in the news, and there's the expectation that people who are mentally ill are dangerous, and that is not the case.
Well, we're going to put a pin in that.
Please do, because
Okay.
it's a whole nother topic.
Okay. So you already brought up John Nash.
Yeah, I forgot his name, though.
Yeah, John Nash, and he...
From The Beautiful Mind.
And he did Game Theory, and just that movie, I think, was...
It was a really good movie.
It was good. It was life-changing for me, because I love it when they take you into the main character, whatever the main character
Right.
sees or does or whatever, you're in it, and that was a really life-changing for me. John Hinckley.
Yes.
Okay, now I want to point out, I've got several names going on here.
Okay.
He's the only dangerous one. Now, not to say that Winston Churchill didn't create some, right, but his intent was not to.
Right.
But, and he started his conditional release in 2016, and he was just released free.
Wow. How's he doing? Do you know?
I don't know. He was going to do a speaking engagement at some hotel or whatever, but the hotel had received so many death threats that they canceled that. So I'm not sure how he's doing. And again, I didn't raise my hand because I don't know John Hinckley, but I am curious to know everyone involved. Jodie Foster. I'm curious to know what they're thinking. We'll try to get Jodie Foster on the next show.
I think that's a good idea. See, we just might as well ask her directly.
Right,
Mhm.
right. This one, the name wasn't as familiar, but I thought it was. I found her to be interesting. It's the wife of F. Scott Fitzgerald. Her
So
name-
I'm looking on your paper again. I'm
Zelda.
cheating. There was a TV series called Zelda, and it was about her.
Really?
I think maybe I watched one episode, but that's
Okay.
all I got.
A newspaper article about one of her dance performances quoted her as saying that she only cared about boys and swimming. She developed an appetite for attention, actively seeking to flout convention, whether by dancing or by, are you ready for this?
Yes.
Wearing a tight, flesh-colored bathing suit to fuel rumors that she swam nude.
Interesting.
Yeah. In the last 2 decades of her life, she spent it in a psych hospital in North Carolina, and the hospital.
So you have her on the schizophrenia list.
Yes.
Interesting. She suffered from schizophrenia.
And the hospital caught fire, and she died in the fire.
That's horrible. Where was that?
North Carolina.
You said that.
Yeah. I'm going to save depression for part 2.
Oh.
So, hey, listen, if you have enjoyed this, come back, and we'll keep talking about pop culture. So have a great day.
Bye.